Imagine working for 20 years toward a single goal. Not a bigger house, not a luxury car, not a fancy title. Freedom. The freedom to wake up without an alarm. The freedom to spend your day however you want. The freedom to never ask permission to live your life. So you sacrifice, you save, you invest, you stay disciplined while everyone else spends. And eventually, you make it. You escape the rat race. Then something unexpected happens. Nobody notices. Every morning looked the same. Wake up, commute, work, come home, repeat. Days became weeks. Weeks became years. The office was full of people waiting for Friday, waiting for retirement, waiting for permission to finally enjoy life. And deep down, he wondered something. What if there's another way? So he started learning. Books about investing, videos about financial freedom, stories about people who escaped the cycle. For the first time, he saw a different future. A future where money worked for him instead of the other way around. Most people dismissed these ideas. They said it was unrealistic, too difficult, too risky. But he couldn't stop thinking about it. Because once you realize there might be an exit, it's hard to stay comfortable inside the cage. The next few years weren't exciting. Nobody writes movies about saving money. Nobody celebrates saying no to unnecessary purchases. While friends upgraded cars, he kept driving the old one. While coworkers financed expensive lifestyles, he invested. While others chased appearances, he chased ownership. There were moments when it felt unfair. Moments when he questioned everything. Watching others enjoy today while he prepared for tomorrow. But he understood something most people never learn. Every dollar spent today has a future version. A version that could have grown, produced income, bought freedom. So he kept going. Quietly. Patiently. Without applause. This is the part nobody talks about. The boring years. The years where nothing seems to happen. No dramatic success, no overnight wealth. Just consistency. Month after month. Year after year. Invest, wait, repeat. And slowly, something invisible begins happening. Compound interest. At first, the growth feels tiny. Then, it starts accelerating, like a snowball rolling downhill. One day, he checked his accounts. The investments were earning more in a month than they used to earn in a year. That's when he realized the machine was starting to work. Not because he was smarter, not because he was lucky, because he stayed in the game long enough. Eventually, the numbers changed. His investments generated enough income to cover his expenses. Not luxury, not private jets. Freedom. The kind of freedom most people never think about. The freedom to say no. No to bad bosses. No to toxic workplaces. No to work he didn't enjoy. For years, he imagined this moment. The day he would walk away. The day everyone would understand what he'd accomplished. The day people would finally see. So, he left. One final commute. One final meeting. One final goodbye. Then, he walked out the door. Free. The next day, the office continued. Meetings continued. Emails continued. Deadlines continued. Someone else sat at his desk. His coworkers discussed promotions, complained about management, talked about weekend plans. life moved on. Nobody organized a celebration. Nobody called him a genius. Nobody cared as much as he expected. At first, it felt strange, almost disappointing. After everything he'd done, wasn't there supposed to be recognition? Then he realized something. Everyone is living inside their own story. They aren't thinking about yours. They're worried about their bills, their jobs, their goals, their problems. The world wasn't ignoring him. The world was simply busy. A few months later, he sat on a quiet beach. No alarms, no meetings, no stress. The strange disappointment had disappeared. In its place was something better. Peace. For years, he believed financial freedom was about winning. Winning against coworkers, winning against society, winning against the system. But sitting there, he understood. Freedom wasn't a trophy. It wasn't status. It wasn't attention. It wasn't admiration. Freedom was ownership of time. The ability to choose. The ability to wake up and decide what mattered. Most people spend their lives trading time for money. He had spent years buying his time back. And that changed everything. Not because others noticed, because he noticed. For the first time in decades, his life belonged to him. Most people think escaping the rat race is the finish line. It isn't. The real finish line is realizing you never needed approval in the first place. Nobody notices when you become financially free. Nobody gives you a medal. Nobody announces your victory. And that's okay, because freedom isn't something you perform. It's something you experience. The people still running the race won't understand. Not because they're bad people, because they're busy running their own race. And maybe that's the biggest lesson of all. The day you escape the rat race, the world won't change. The headlines won't change. Your neighbors won't change. But you will. And once you've experienced the freedom of owning your time, you'll realize something priceless. Peace was the reward all along. Not recognition, not status, not applause. Just peace. And peace doesn't need an audience.